Oh, Constitutional Crisis Channel here, again with the recent update on the crime of the century. I never thought it would get this far, but by golly, I just had about a week or so ago a hearing in my jaywalking case that I got issued a ticket like in late March. Well, the problem for them is within 10 days, I already had papers in to the clerk of court, quote unquote, and to the local dumbass, and I knew damn well they weren't going to answer them. What I didn't expect, this is the first time for me in California, the clerk of court did not only not file the documents, they did not return them to me. And this may be a major break for all of us in offensive cases, and it may keep us from even having to file such cases, because if they're going to do that, and they know what my record is, especially in this court, they know. Well, I went down there for a quote unquote arraignment, and I thought a lot about it before I went, but I did it for a variety of reasons. And I show up, and my experiences to date in this court and with this traffic Commissar Hugo, is that I would go with my friend, and every time they would call her case first, and the last time they did it before the attorney cases, we were out of there. In fact, the last time I was out of there in 15 seconds, never got a chance to sit down. Well, this one they did call alphabetically, so I had to wait about 25 minutes. But I had papers with me that I had sent. I didn't have the whole papers, but I had title pages, and I gave them to the bailiff to give to the commissar. And I said, well, the problem we have is, that I filed all these, and I have my post office receipt. I could prove I sent them to the clerk of court and to the DA, and nothing had happened. And by the time this hearing took place, this had been close to 2 months. So with that amount of time, nothing happened. Nothing from the clerk. I didn't get a motion hearing, which I should have had, and which you should have, and you probably won't get. And of course, the dumbass didn't answer them because they don't know how to. They'd have to admit they have no jurisdiction, and that's a disaster. So the good news about this, after all this, and I said right in open court, I didn't go into a long spiel like I could have done, but I indicated to the judge in no uncertain terms, the Supreme Court says you can, challenge jurisdiction any time, and that my papers were filed timely. And I said, I'm going to stand mute here. I'm not going to enter a plea. Well, the commissar did what they always do. They enter a not guilty plea and set a trial date, quote unquote, which in this case is August 7th, which will never happen for a variety of reasons. But see, this is a big issue that we have, especially in traffic courts, but even in other settings, criminal and what have you. The judge, quote unquote, cannot enter a plea for you. They think they can do it. In California's Penal Code Section 1024, law that's been on the books for 150 years, yet there are no case law decisions on this issue. How in the world is that possible? You got me. More when I figure out the answer to that question, I will let you know. What I do know is that the 9 old farts, yet again, and I always rely on them, the Supreme Court has held in a case called Crane, C-R-A-I-N versus U.S. 162 U.S. 625, that if no plea is entered, there's nothing for a jury to make any rulings on. And in that case, they cited an excerpt with approval from a case called Corbett, C-O-R-B-E-T-T versus California. Exactly where I am, 28 Cal Reporter 328. Still good law, hasn't been reversed. So this is why this case never gets to a trial, because they can't afford it. That's binding case law where I come from. And that means the court doesn't have jurisdiction, and it means that Commissar Hugo is going to have personal liability here if they attempt to go any further, as is the local dumbass. And they should all know this as well as I do. But this is the whole point. What I'm trying to do for you in your cases is to set records like this, or even better, get the clerk to fail to file them. As I'm now going to be sending a letter to the Chief Justice here in the California Supreme Court and say, what the hell is going on here? What orders have you issued to subordinate personnel that you're no longer filing documents that come before the courts? Could you please explain that to me? Factual foundation and legal basis. When your boss, the 9-0 Farts, has said we can challenge jurisdiction at any time, and yet we can't get a foot in the door to do it. And this is what gets our case to the Supreme Court, and it's leverage with a capital L, because we sit across the bargain table from these bastards, and I explained to them what I just explained to you. If you really want to take a chance on doing that, I'm more than willing to take whatever small risks there might be because I know for once we have the loaded dice and you don't. And even worse, if we get a decision on the record from the Supreme Court, that's a binding precedent from coast to coast. And it will, in my case, put the traffic courts out of business from Portland, Maine to Portland, Oregon. That's the kind of strength and power we have, and that's what I want you to start feeling. And geez, if we could just experience what I did in Columbia, South Carolina with my first appearance there, they hauled me in the court after 72 days and a 32-day journey across country. I could almost have walked. And I get in there, and in the first 30 seconds, I set them back. You know, I'm the one in there in a damn red jail suit, shackled hands and foot. 30 seconds. Stunned the courtroom into silence. I mean, they knew that they were the ones in trouble with the law, not me. Boy, I wish I had a video. That's worth $1 million, that video, but they didn't make any, unfortunately. But that feeling of power you get, that's what I want to teach you how to do, because once you get it, you'll never want to let it go either, and you're certainly going to want to teach your posterity how to do the same thing. And the more of us there are, the more pressure it puts on them. Especially true in smaller states, quote unquote. It's amazing what you can do. So that said, I'll give you more of an update on this one when the time comes, but August 7th is the trial date, and we'll see what goes on. Thank you.